Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, January 30th, 2025. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Steve Wilkes and I get to taste a sampler of Sean Terrill's beers from 2 Mile Brewing up in Leadville, Colorado, including Sean's response to his Mash Your Luck challenge, a delicious Session Belgian IPA. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing, and many thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. And many thanks to the new Patreon subscribers who are signing up every week. Your help is very much appreciated. Steve and I are planning to get together on Friday to shoot at least 4 new videos at long last. Financial supporters will get early releases of those, along with some behind-the-scenes videos and recipes. There's some news in the homebrew world. This past week, it was announced that the American Homebrewers Association is becoming an independent 501c. The AHA is no longer going to be under the umbrella of the Brewers Association. So, congratulations to the new board, and best of luck in moving the AHA forward. I'm also getting together this week with Adam Ross from Twin Span up in Bettendorf, Iowa, author Chris Colby, and homebrewer Scott Housel to taste the Little Brown Forest Session beer that Chris and I formulated. I also want to come up with a recipe for a bock, because our friends and sponsors at Imperial Yeast are introducing a seasonal strain that I want to use, and I have it on hand now. L18 Goat is Imperial's seasonal Bavarian lager yeast. Goat is available now. Casey at Imperial says it's the Ayinger strain, and it's said to balance complex malt character with hop flavors and aromas, and that's got me craving a delicious bock. If I go big on a bock, I'll probably do a starter since it's a lager, but generally, thanks to the 200 billion cells in each packet of Imperial yeast, my stir plate is generally dusty, and my airlocks are usually bubbling before bedtime. Take advantage of the cold weather and brew you up a lager with L18 Goat from Imperial Yeast. Ask your local homebrew store to stock up, and you can check out all the dependable deliciousness at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. Okay, I've been looking forward to tasting Sean's beers from 2 Mile Brewing in Leadville for years, and I'm glad that Steve Wilkes was there to share in the experience. Sean Terrill of 2 Mile Brewing Company up in Leadville, Colorado. Welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thanks, James. Great to finally be on and actually tasting some beer.
Yeah, I said on the show, the previous show, that I don't think I've tasted your beer. Have I tasted your beer?
Not commercially. Certainly, when we've gotten together at a couple of NHC or Breton's, you've had some home brews, but I don't think ever any commercial beer.
Okay. Well, I couldn't even remember the home brews. So this is show number 900.
It must have been good.
Well, this is show number 925. So things tend to run together. Oh, and before I forget, sitting across the breakfast nook table from me is Steve Wilkes.
Yes, Nanook of the North is where we're sitting.
Okay. Are you cold?
I'm very cold.
Do you want your coat?
No.
You should have said something.
I just want some beer.
Okay. Something nice and cold.
That'll warm it up. I think you guys are colder than we are, actually. Pretty wild right now.
We are we're at 37 right now. So we're warming up, but it's been cold.
Okay, never mind. It's 4 here.
Yeah, we're talking about the weather. Welcome to the weather podcast.
Captivating stuff.
Wild, wacky stuff. We got a bunch of beers from 2 Mile Brewing Company. I'm very excited. In fact, I was so excited when I got the box the other day. I opened it up and I said, I got beers from Leadville. And my wife was not impressed. But, you know.
Neither was I. So
I think you should. That should be your jingle, Sean. I got beers from Leadville.
I think we'll stick with America's highest brewery.
Are you an FM radio or an AM radio from the 70s?
No, but I did wink at the ding.
Oh, we'll edit that in. Well, we're here back together because you were brave and took the Mash Your Luck Challenge a few weeks ago, and I appreciate your doing that. And the parameters, do you remember what the parameters are? I've got them written down in front of me.
There's medium ABV, high bitterness, pale Belgian ale.
Correct. I have very high bitterness.
Ooh, very high. Okay.
So medium ABV, very high bitterness, pale ale, and you originally rolled German, according to my notes, but then you re-rolled and got Belgian, and you were excited about this. Yeah,
it was something that fit into some ingredients that we had on hand and some that I had been wanting to play with anyway. So there was a bit of kismet going on there, and also just giving up a little control is maybe exciting. Let's not read too much into that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a different show.
I started that sentence and couldn't find the end.
So what was your response? What did you brew? So
we brewed a Belgian-style session IPA. So it was 100% Pilsner malt and almost a single hop beer as well. We did bitter with Columbus, as we do with most of our hoppy ales, and but then it was Huell Melon entirely in the Whirlpool and dry hop.
Wow!
And then, of course, fermented with. We actually use a blend of a couple Belgian yeast strains.
So, getting to the very high bitterness aspect was that a challenge at your altitude?
I think it turned out to be, and of course, we're going to taste the pudding here in a second, but. Yeah, I would say if I had to knock it on those criteria, that would be the one.
Okay, all right. Well, don't tear yourself down preemptively. Let us do that.
I also felt I needed to clarify before we started recording that this beer is now, I think it's about 4 or 5 months old.
Oh,
well. So the bitterness has certainly fallen off a little bit.
Okay, all right. Enough. What do you say? What do you say when you condition? No, not conditions.
Well, Charlie always said, "Let's cut the shuck and jive."
Okay,
yeah.
let's cut past the fact that I can't find words anymore. So qualifiers. That's what I was. Oh, poor. And I have a bucket on standby here because you've recently started canning your beers.
Yeah, so that hence the several month delay. We were anticipating having those out late fall, and it ended up being just ahead of the holidays.
Oh, it's a beautiful beer. It is well carbonated. Mm-hmm. It is very pale. I can say right off. In this light, I don't know if it's because of the hops. Is it my imagination to say it has a greenish hue?
I believe it does. Yeah, that was even more pronounced when it was fresh. This is in a beer this size, certainly commercially, size meaning gravity. It's the most hops I've ever put in a beer. I think at least commercially.
Wow. So the ABV is medium. The color is definitely pale. It's an ale. We can give that to you.
I guess we should say 4.4 was where the ABV is.
Oh, good. That certainly qualifies. Oh, wow.
That's really great.
Oh, nice.
The hops are just kind of in your face, but they're not. You don't get bitter beer face.
No, there is a link. The thing that hits my palate first is I think it's Belgian spice.
Yeah,
it's very clovey or spicy. You can definitely tell it's a Belgian yeast. It's really good in that way. And then at the end of the tongue, I would say the bitterness is very high. It's at the very. It's got a lingering. Yeah. It's not distracting, it's not like you said, bitter beer face. But at the end, It is kind of like you've been sucking on a hop cone.
Yep. Well, it reminds me of drinking a normal, IBU beer, normal lager, but eating a hop candy at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of got that. Whew.
Well, I don't remember where it was, but I remember taking a brewery tour decades ago, and they passed around, the little jars of malted barley and hops. And they said, by the way, you probably don't want to put the hop pellets in your mouth.
That was a dare.
That was a dare, wasn't it? Yeah.
Fighting words. Couldn't taste any of the beers at the end of the tour.
And I really like that Huell Melon hop. I always enjoyed that. I haven't brewed with it in a long time, but yeah.
This was actually my very first time, and I think it's in a lighter beer like this, like at least color-wise, I think it expressed itself really well. Where I've read online, at least, that it can be overwhelmed by other hops or bigger beers. But in something like this, yeah, I mean, it is just a beautiful hop.
Yeah, very, very nice, very impressive. What's the response from your patrons?
Well, it hasn't been great. Of course, we do have another IPA on tap, and I think we'll get to that. And that one is, 2% higher in ABV. So even though we sell this for $1 less, it's kind of been a tough sell.
Pretty darn.
Anything under 5, there's kind of a resistance.
Oh no! So the tough sell is based on the amount of alcohol in it.
I think so.
Okay.
Of course,
because it's delicious.
The majority of customers would never tell you that.
Yeah.
And remember, we're 90+% tourism, so
right.
It's not like they're going to have a second chance to come back and try something different.
Yeah, gotcha.
People who are coming in for one beer are probably going to go for the 6% IBA instead of the 4%.
And they're on vacation.
Yeah.
And they're at 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need that alcohol.
That's right.
But I bet at 10,000 feet, 4.4% will do you pretty good.
Especially because we sell imperial pints.
Oh,
well, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we will cut people off after 2 pints of the full strength IPA, if you will.
Oh, I bet. Steve's been to Leadville.
Oh yeah, I've been there a bunch of. Well, I'm not going to tell you Yeah, I'll tell it. So my wife and I were actually talking about where she was going to throw my ashes.
Oh God!
I know it sounds macabre, but it's not. I wanted to throw my ashes in the Arkansas River right north of Leadville, so that my essence flows from the highest peak to the Gulf of the Ozarks, or whatever we're going to call it.
The Gulf of French Louisiana.
That's right.
Well, she could UPS them up to Sean. He could take care of that.
Actually, I really like Leadville.
Not to get any more morbid, but I do have a spot picked out for that.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, well,
beautiful view.
When my little boy, there's so many asides. When Chase was really little, he's like almost 30 now, but when he was 7 or 8 or 9. We went to Leadville on vacation. We went to Colorado. We ended up in Leadville, and we bicycled on the Miracle Mile. Is that what it's called? The Miracle Loop, or the Mineral Loop, or something like that.
The mineral.
Anyway, you start in
at home. We have a half marathon paved bike loop that circles the entire town.
Yeah, and does it go up into the mines, and then you come back down into the town?
Yeah. If you do the full 13 miles, there's probably 100 historical markers.
Yeah, we did that on a bicycle with a 7 or 8 year old.
Oh wow!
and when he was going down, he was going about 40 or 50 miles an hour, and I could not catch him. I was scared to death.
Hey, son, look out!
Yeah. Okay, well, back to business.
Yeah, well, that was delicious. So,
John, I like that beer, and if your customers aren't drinking it, they're fools.
Or Sean.
What did I say?
I think you said John.
I said Sean.
Okay, it's just my ear.
I think it was just
I was just exuberant.
Into the tasting pronunciation of Sean.
It was the warm-up beer. We did have one of my Pilsners to warm up.
It is really good.
But which is also 4.4%. So
yeah,
we're being good. Okay. Yeah. All right, to the judging. So medium ABV, I think we check.
Yes.
Very high bitterness.
I
check.
grow. Yeah.
I would say check.
Yeah, definitely.
Pale, oh, definitely pale. Ale, yes, and definitely Belgian influence. So I think that
Ticked all the boxes.
ticked all those boxes. So now there are these number categories, which Adam Ross and I kind of came up with. We combined the theme/originality portion of the thing, which is worth 5 points. So Sean, this is the essay part of the exam. Tell us about the theme/originality. What's the story behind the beer?
I think we talked a little bit on the original show about kind of wanting to get out of a rut where we were brewing the same recipes with subtle variations. That's maybe not the best origin story. I had actually brewed the beer before the name came to me, and it's based on a joke I believe Steve made on a podcast who knows how long ago, where, of course, this was brewed with almost all Huell melon.
Oh.
So we were expecting it to be a very melony beer.
Yes.
So between it being something a little new and that, brand new key.
Okay. All right.
Now we get it.
5 points.
Yeah.
5 points.
Yeah.
You bring one of the hosts in.
Yeah.
That's 5 points.
Well, I can pander on all these categories. Okay.
Yeah. Appearance. I'd say it looks great. I think it's a little teeny hazy. It's a little, but with all those hops in there,
yeah,
I think you could
definitely even. And of course, I'm pouring off the tap, whereas you guys have cans. But yeah, that haze has held up better than any beer we've ever brewed. And again, it's just the most hops per degree Play-Doh that I've ever put in a beer. So that's 100% just polyphenol haze.
And it's got the lacing on the side of our cups here is very nice. The head is sticking around on Steve's. It must be my lip gloss that's knocking it down here. But appearance, I'd say out of three.
Yeah.
I'd say, we give us a beer and we'll judge you well. Aroma. Now our we're elderly, so the aroma doesn't get. You really have to. I don't smell as good as I used to. So
it smells.
Oh, but I do smell that.
Yeah, it's got a great bouquet.
A
lovely bouquet.
I even get a little bit of the sort of straw or hay character from the Pilsner malt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you say? From up to 5 on aroma, Steve. Are we going to be so generous that we give 100%?
I'm about there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then if we give 100%, I don't have to add. Okay. Now here's flavor. Flavor is worth 10.
I like it. I don't know.
Is there anything to ding it? Is there anything that we want more of? I guess
I'd like some more of this beer.
The only thing, okay, if I could ding it is I wish it were fresher, so that we could taste it from the beginning. But the flavor right now, if you hadn't told me that it was 4 months old and it tasted better in the day, I would give you like a 10. But I think we got to ding him some. We can't just let him skate all the way. Like 9. Want to give a 9 on the flavor? There's nothing wrong with this, certainly.
Well, I can't. I'm not one of those people that I don't give A's because nothing's perfect. I'm not Amish.
Okay. No, they may be listening. Oh, no, they're not listening. Okay.
I don't.
Don't forget Rumspringer.
That's right.
This is Rumspringer.
Yeah, but they're temporarily not Amish. So
well, to me, it's not so much. To me, it's about did it fill the brief? The brief, and it filled the brief. I think perfectly. Now, I don't know how to. Once you're at 9 and 10s and 8s in terms of this is good or this is bad.
Yeah.
If you're judging a flight, you can kind of say,
yeah.
Okay,
I don't have anything to go if I'm trying, or if I'm judging it against a different standard. But since it's not it's kind of a spin the wheel beer. I don't really know where it lands. It's very hoppy. That's what it's supposed to be. I think the hops are believe it or not, in balance with the beer. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's really important. I like beers that balance well against each other.
And I think those hops play well with the Belgian spice.
Yeah.
And even the lingering bitterness doesn't compete, I don't think, with the Belgian spice character.
No, I mean, I think it's a great beer.
Okay, 10.
Give it a 10.
All right.
And then
finish is worth 2.
It's got a nice. I think it has a nice long finish with the hop character, and the little bit of the sweetness from the Pilsner malt sticks around. I think it's great.
Okay, perfect score, Sean.
Yeah,
Insert applause.
Is that the first one ever?
Insert applause later. It's because Adam Ross wasn't on the show. He's mean.
Yeah, we need to get some more.
I don't. My palate's what it is.
It works. It does a job. It fit all the parameters.
Well, I mean, if that's the score on the first one, I can't wait until we get to the last.
Well, we're not going to score anymore. That's all the scoring.
Maybe not out loud.
The scoring is done. The scoring has shut down for this show. Very well done. I thought, again, I've said this a couple of times. We're spinning the wheel. We're randomizing all this stuff. But none of these beers have come out tasting like monster beers or Frankenstein beers or beers that don't work together as a recipe. This is a cohesive recipe that I think all the elements are balanced. It's certainly executed well. I think, if it had a little more alcohol, it'd sell better. Very well.
Yeah, but I wouldn't drink as much of it, so.
Well, I will say this: so if you want me to ding it, I can ding it.
Oh, too late.
But unofficially, in that I couldn't, even though it's only a 4.5% beer, I probably would only drink 1 pint of this, and one is enough because the hops do begin to wear me out.
Well, it's a big,
and it's supposed to be that way.
It's a big hoppy beer.
It's not really a ding, but for me, it's not a session beer because I think one of these is about all I could drink.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, I don't think.
But that's not really a ding, but that's as close as I can get to one.
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
All right. We need a palate cleanser, Sean. What?
Right. We could go with a light lager, or we have a kettle sour.
Oh,
a sour might be nice.
You want to do the kettle sour?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It's the one labeled sour.
Oh, there's one that says cherry sour. Is that the one?
That's the one.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I don't know.
Yes, we essentially always have a kettle sour on tap. We just rotate the fruit. This time we did cherry.
Steve is pouring. Let's see if it has a pinkish hue.
It doesn't look like cherries.
If you look at it next to the base wort, you can actually see that it has a very definite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's got a little
that.
reddish hue in it.
And the base beer on this is 100% Pilsner malt. So.
It's actually a really pretty beer.
All that color is coming from the fruit.
Cheers.
Yeah.
And that is a cherry puree that we added in the fermenter, sweet, Bing sweet cherry.
Oh, this is really good. I think, James.
Oh.
The cherry comes through beautifully. I love cherry things, cherry meads, cherry beers. I'm a big cherry guy. This comes through. That cherry just comes right on through. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. And the tartness is certainly present, but it's not like strip your teeth enamel off tart. It's a kind of tartness that accentuates that cherry flavor. What was your method
this
of?
One I actually do have my notes in front of me. This is a black.
Okay. I was going to say how did you do the kettle sour? What's your method?
We get just a straight inoculate pitch of the lacto from our yeast supplier, Brewing Science. Shout out to them. And do a pretty standard mash, run off into the kettle, get it up to just shy of a boil to pasteurize it, and then cool it down to inoculation temperature, 40 C. Was that 104 Fahrenheit?
Something like that.
Pitch the lacto into the kettle, wrap the whole top of the thing in saran wrap, and push some CO2 in through the bottom to get all the oxygen out. Let it sit. This one actually took a little longer than typical. It looks like it was a full 72 hours before we finished the boil. Usually it's closer to 60. But monitor pH throughout that, and once it's where we want it and we're liking the flavor, bring it up to a boil, chill as usual, move over to the fermenter. We fermented this one with our lager yeast, actually, because that was what we had a fresh pitch of. And the fruit puree goes into the fermenter about 2 days before the end of fermentation, or about 2 degrees Plato before the end of fermentation. And then we seal the fermenter, sort of treat it like I would a dry hop, where we'll cap and spund at that point. Obviously, we're not repitching yeast out of the sours. So there are no issues with that. And I don't know, maybe it's just a sort of knock wood type of deal. But I feel like capping the fermenter as we add the fruit or dry hops, in the case of a dry hop beer, maybe locks in a little bit of aroma that would otherwise blow out the top.
So if you're using a spunding valve, would you say that you're brewing under pressure?
I wouldn't, because I was trying to avoid that, but you certainly can.
I love that dead silence.
Are we going to do that for every beer?
No. What was your what's your pH? Or your target pH?
We target a 3.4. This one actually finished at 3.43. That is pre-fermentation.
And do the cherries have an impact on that in the end?
That would be a very good question. Within our process, it would be difficult to separate that out because fermentation is not quite finished when we add the fruit. That would be an interesting thing to follow up on.
It's nicely tart.
I'm literally writing myself a note here.
It's nicely tart. It's not like I say. It's not like a dare beer or like it's not enamel stripping tart. But I think the tartness is certainly enough to accentuate the fruit and to make it enjoyable without making it a sour candy beer.
I'm curious, Sean, or is it John? No, it's Sean.
It's Juan.
Juan. I'm curious. Was it a sour cherry puree or sweet cherry puree?
It was black cherry.
Black cherries. Oh, okay.
Sweet cherry puree.
Nice.
I used on a beer that we're going to taste in the next video episode. My Masher Luck beer was what I'm calling a Brown Forest light beer, which is a session beer that I tried to do a kettle sour. It didn't work out because the probiotic stuff that I bought actually didn't have any active lactobacillus in it, I don't think. So I used lactic acid after fermentation and black cherry extra or flavoring. As Susan and I were mixing it in the bottling bucket, we added the cherry flavoring first and then added the lactic acid. And the lactic acid made the beer tart and really accentuated the cherry flavoring. And I think that's got to be what's happening here, is making it more fresh, more kind of palate cleansing, and you really want to come back for another sip. What's the ABV on this one, did you say?
Right at 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When speaking of which, I forgot to mention as part of our kettle sour process, we do dose with lactic acid in the kettle, just enough to get pH below 5.
Oh, okay.
Just as an antimicrobial.
Yeah.
Oh, and the lime zest. I didn't catch the lime zest.
Oh, yeah.
Lime
we've
zest
got a menu here in front of us.
Yeah. Very nice beer. This is a beer I'd want to, excuse me, this is a beer that I would want to drink with food mostly. And the food I'd want to drink with it would be like really spicy Thai food. Something like that would be great with this beer. Or dessert.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say pudding.
Yeah, pudding. Everything's good with pudding.
This makes a pretty good mimosa.
Say that again?
This makes a pretty good mimosa.
Oh yeah, I bet it does.
I
I bet it makes a great mimosa, yeah.
Splash of orange juice in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good cherry. That's a really nice cherry beer.
Yeah. Where do we want to go next? We got 4 more.
Let's see. We should probably we'll save the light lager, I guess, for another palate cleanser. Do we want to go pale ale? I think I sent you a Maibach.
Yeah, why don't we do the Maibach?
Sounds good. I'll pour my sample along with you.
Okay. Is that a U-Bach?
Is that a U-Bach?
That's not a Maibach. It's a Steve Wilkes joke.
No, that's a. I don't know who wrote
Inspired by. I thought you said like you and your brother would say.
Yeah, but I think we stole it from
It sounds like
it's a Groucho
kinda, Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
Is that a Maibach?
Is that a U-boat?
Is that a? Oh, well, that's not a. Oh, that's right.
Is that a U-boat? No, it's not my boat.
Hold on, where's my bingo card?
Yeah, exactly. Obscure host reference.
That's right.
Now, I wanted to especially try this because shameless plug, our sponsor, Imperial Yeast, their current seasonal is Goat, which is the Eyinger strain, and I've been wanting to make some sort of Bock, something in the Bock family. So I've been looking forward to tasting this one and getting your take, Sean, on what makes something good.
Yeah, I'm looking that up as we speak because I believe that is the provenance, if you will, of our lager yeast.
This is a golden color.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. It's got the I kind of told you that that's a Bock. I don't know. I want to know what's that Bocky flavor? Is it?
I do think our yeast lends itself to that because it does leave that sort of malt character behind, even though it doesn't necessarily ferment any less dry than anything else.
Is it it's a kind of a caramely, like melanoid-y, kind of decoction-y, allegedly, kind of flavor that I really like. It's kind of half of a dark note. You know what I'm saying? This is a golden beer, but it's not like a, crystal malt kind of.
There's quite a bit of Munich malt in this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got just a little bit of that burnt toast kind of nice thing going on. It's very satisfying. It's very, this isn't a lawnmower beer, though. This isn't the beer I'd want. Oh, you would, though, right? Not me. But this is a beer that, oh, man, it's like the end of the day. The fireplace is going. This is what
it's
I
also
want.
a hair under 7%, so it is.
Yeah. It's
I would say definitely more of the fireplace beer than the lawnmower beer.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is. Oh wow. I'm surprised. It's only 11% Munich, actually, although it is the dark Munich.
Oh, what's the level bond on that? Do you remember? Is it the 20?
No, it's 10ish.
10ish. Okay.
Maybe 12.
I'm thinking Vienna, the dark Vienna.
Vienna's more like 6 or 8.
Yeah.
But there's also a 20.
There is a 20 Levabond, but then again,
but this would be a much darker beer if it was that much.
Yeah, and it would be sweeter too.
Our supplier has this spec'd at 9.
I was going to say different malt houses have different, and I wanted to say that 20%. Boy, I'm reaching here from when I had the store, but I think that 20% Munich malt was a Briess malt.
Okay,
I think.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm pretty sure that's a Briess product. I don't think anything else.
So yeah,
boy,
that's sure really good.
But yeah, I do think again, if it's okay to do another shout out because they're right down the road. We use Proximity Malt, are right here in Colorado. So I believe their Munichs run just a hair lighter than some other vendors or maltsters rather. This is their Munich 2 at 9, and I think most of them would be more in that 10 to 12 range.
I think, didn't Brian at West Mountain, didn't he use Proximity?
Yes, that's what they're using now, yeah.
Huh.
So I didn't realize it was from Colorado.
There you go.
Cool.
Well, of course, the barley is not.
Well, yeah.
But they have, let's see, I have to swivel my head up to look at the ceiling. They have malt houses in Monte Vista, Colorado, Laurel, Delaware, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Our ceiling is lined with grain bags.
Oh.
So all I had to do was look up.
That's really good. I mean, that's
my favorite one of the day so far.
Yeah, that's.
We definitely focus on lagers more than a lot of breweries, especially in Colorado. And we always try to have relatively high gravity lager. Actually, for Lent, in a couple of weeks, we have our Doppelbock coming out.
So what do you do with the Doppelbock?
It's going to be a very similar recipe. The Doppelbock is, it's actually relatively complicated by our lager standards. 64% Pilsner, 16% light Munich, 16% dark Munich, and 2% Cara Red.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's an amber beer?
Yeah, it's in the fermenter now. So let's see. The software at least is telling me 13 SRM. And should finish at 8.2%.
Wow. The thing I like about the style is it's got that kind of caramely, toasty is a good word. And it's got a teeny bit, I mean, astringency sounds like a negative term, but I think in balance, I think it's good.
You need a little sometimes.
Yeah, it's something to clear the palate at the end. There's a little bit at the end of it that's just a little bit of the bitterness that doesn't make it too malty. But then the beer obviously is all about the malt. It's really good, and the bitterness balances very well. Yeah,
and this is a pretty substantial charge of noble type hops.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say it's pretty.
We're looking for about 40 IBU.
Yeah, it's got a good bittering charge in it.
Yeah,
I do think you get a little bit of that vegetal sort of that kind of green hop astringency.
Yeah,
I like it.
Boy, that's good. Should we do the lightest as a palate cleanser, or
I would say let's save that for in between the remaining hoppy beers and maybe go pale ale next.
Okay, which is the Camp Hale.
Indeed.
Okay, this is the one that I dropped on the floor immediately when I got right after I sang. I got beers from Leadville. I dropped this beer on the floor, so I'm gonna.
I got 7 beers from Leadville.
These 15. 10 commandments.
So, Sean, tell us about the brewery. Tell us where it's at, how, barrel size, brewing philosophy, business, whatever. Tell us about your brewery.
Yeah, we've done it before on the show, but it's time for a listen to the show.
I know I try to.
It's just so long sometimes.
I know. There's 900 of those things.
As we are 46 minutes in.
All right, we'll do the back of the baseball card. Leadville, Colorado, 7-barrel system. Definitely brew pub focus, although not a ton of food. About 40 seats in the winter and double that when we have the patio in the summer. Been doing it for almost 5 years. Maybe not. It was about just over 3 years from buying the property, which had been an abandoned gas station for over 20 years. So there was a fair bit of work to do there. But yeah, over 3 years from buying the real estate to actually opening the doors, and then we were open for 3 days.
Did you have to do any digging up of big gas tanks underground and sort of remediation of hazardous materials and things like that? But since it was a gas station before,
yes, we had to rip out all of the floors and dig down, depending on what part of the property, to anywhere from 6 to 9 feet before we hit clean dirt.
Wow!
Did you find any gold?
We did not, but we found a lot of cool stuff, much of which is now on the walls at the bar.
I love it.
The original gas station opened in 1934, so there were some cool old signs and stuff that we unearthed from that. But then under that, the original log cabin that stood on this property was built in the 1870s. And, of course, at the time, you just threw your trash out back.
Yeah.
So, one man's trash. We pulled out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of old bottles and cans. And, because we have so little humidity, most of it was remarkably well preserved. We found a pair of shoes where you could see they discarded them because the soles were worn through in places. But after 140 years, they were still intact.
That's so cool. This is a tasty beer.
Yes, it is.
We're but we're continuing on to just a traditional, nice, solid example of sort of a traditional style. Tell us about this beer.
Yeah, I like to pitch this as an English-American hybrid, where it does have a relatively hop-forward character, but certainly more malt than I think a stereotypical APA.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe a teensy bit more bitterness. Of course, this is actually a recipe that I've been brewing as a home brewer, or at least the crux of this I've been brewing as a home brewer for over 20 years now. So a lot of, I think, very new American pale ales and certainly IPAs are leaning heavily away from the bitterness. And we wanted that to be front and center. It's almost bitter forward, malt back.
Yeah, it's certainly not like I wouldn't call it like a West Coast, because
West Coast bitter.
West Coast pale ale is, well, this is a pale ale.
Well, yeah,
but so it's not what I would call
as
like
a home brewer. I would compete with this as ESB.
Okay, yeah.
Bitter is a dirty word. You don't want that on menu.
Even though it's extra special.
But this is our best seller.
Oh,
well, I can see why. I mean, it's got plenty of flavor, and yet it's if whether you're an experienced beer drinker or a novice tourist beer drinker, it's still okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to really like it, and if you're a novice beer drinker, how many were we in? How many deep are we in? If you're a novice beer drinker, it tastes exotic, but it's not.
No,
but it's got that craft beer.
See, this would be my lawnmower beer.
Yeah, this is a lawnmower beer for me.
Yeah,
and it's
good. Talk about the hopping.
Hops in this are, in descending order, Calypso, Centennial, and Brewer's Gold. And I really like that Brewer's Gold. It's actually getting hard to find. When I can get a few cases, I snap them up.
I've never used it. I never sold it. I don't know anything about it.
That was allegedly one of the original Budweiser hops from the 50s and 60s. It has this nice sort of stone fruit, but on the darker side, a plum, dark cherry kind of, even maybe a little bit of that sort of pit kind of almond character.
Yeah. And actually, I was just thinking that I get kind of that, the pit of the stone fruit. So, and that usually is almond. And I get that. Definitely.
And then,
that's really nice. I can see why it's your best selling beer. That's a good beer.
Yeah, it's just it's other than the light beer crowd, it's just sort of an all around pleaser.
Yeah,
very well crafted. The lacing. Talk about the appearance. The lacing on the side of the glass is very prominent. The foam is still standing on mine. It's got a slight hop haze in it, but that just means...
and we don't filter or refine any of our beers.
Yeah, I was going to say that just means you haven't filtered it. But what's your opinion, or do you have an experience on whether filtering has any impact on the hop character or the malt character?
I think hop character, absolutely. I have worked at breweries where they were not my procedures, but because of established procedures, we would not filter the hoppier beers. I've also worked at a brewery where they thought they could just compensate by adding more hops, and I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. It also depends on how tight you're filtering. In a pub setup like this, you're maybe doing a 7 or 10 micron. that's going to let even some yeast through. You're not doing a polishing filter at that point. If you're doing a 1 or 2 micron, I think it's inevitable you're going to strip out some polyphenols because they're just bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the lightest.
Moving on.
Your cans are black, and they have black lids, too.
I know, I like that.
Until they make something darker.
None more dark.
None more black.
Yeah, none more black. I'm sorry. Yeah, none more black. Got to get my Spinal Tap references right. The lightest beer in the darkest can. Oh, now this is crystal clear, I would say.
Crystal clear.
And very light. Very, very pale. It is the lightest. So talk about this beer. Why is this not your well, because it's 4.2, right? That's why it's not your.
That is literally the reason. Yes. Actually, in the peak of summer, this is our best seller for about a month. 96% just domestic 2-row and 4% table sugar.
That's really good. It's very refreshing.
Brewed with Columbus to about 10 IBU and then fermented with our lager yeast.
So just a bittering charge?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a 3-ingredient beer if you count the sugar.
And there's no cideriness at all.
No.
There's no, like heat or the fusel alcohols. There's no. Sometimes when you get a sugary beer, or even like ciders or something like that,
we get that homebrew wang.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're kind of getting into some more industrial subtleties here. It's been long enough that I think maybe the 10 pounds of sugar is only in there so that I can use an even number of sacks of malt.
Oh,
that's why it's 4% sugar.
Well, but those are, and you know what, though? Those are business decisions that professional brewers have to make. I mean, I might be taking that up a notch, but, as a home brewer, I can play around with all sorts of things that you really can't do as a professional brewer because you have to make money. And I don't have to make money.
Yeah, if I put a quarter sack of malt in this, then I have to figure out what to do with the other 3/4 of the sack.
Yeah.
So we have to have a downstream that uses it.
Yeah.
Either that or I have to adjust my spreadsheet to handle partial sacks. And
I quite like this beer.
No one likes handling partial sacks.
Nobody likes that.
I was not going to do it. No, I think
I did that on purpose, but I wasn't going to let it go by.
No, once you set something up, you got to knock it down. That's my policy.
Now, don't take offense with this, but I think that this would be a good alternative as a base for a bit of flavoring, kind of like a seltzer. You know what I'm saying? Because it is very well made. It is a very drinkable beer. It is fairly neutral, which I think is what it's all about. It's very enjoyable. I can think of sitting in the sun on your patio, and drinking this beer, all day.
What are you, a Lifetime movie?
Like Hallmark channel.
Brewery?
It's a Hallmark channel.
There's the wind blowing through your bald hair.
Are you in a rocking chair crocheting?
Would you like a Werther's original?
And Valerie Bertinelli sitting next to you.
See, Steve was trying to paint me as, like Fabio, and you've got me in a rocking.
Here's $5.
You've got me in a rocking chair.
Well, this is a good beer, and I think it'd be a great base beer for any kind of a fruit.
Yeah, we've done that on occasion if we're out of the sour for a week or two.
Yeah,
we'll do a single keg, sort of like we did with the kiwi.
Yeah,
just throw a little fruit or something in. We did a dry hopped single keg once. That was interesting.
This would be a good chili beer too. This would stand up to whatever you wanted to do, or a Randall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When you said chili, I thought eating a bowl of chili with the beer.
No,
I was like, yeah. But also running it through putting some chilies in there. Yeah.
I thought we were headed down to Chile for their summer.
Oh,
Another beer where there's only so much you can say about it.
exactly.
Right,
It's
yeah.
just like,
It's a well-made beer. It's clean. It's drinkable. I could drink plenty of this.
yeah. We can't go on and on talking about
Yeah.
how the hops taste like melon, but then peach, but then strawberries, but then it's just like, it's good. It's good. It's really good. It's really clean. So how long do you lager a beer like this? What's the fermentation?
This particular batch, the general schedule on this, the idea again is, to turn it over relatively quickly because it is our least expensive beer menu-wise, so we can't have it tying it up the tank forever. It looks like this was in the tank for a total of 27 days.
Oh, okay.
So hit final gravity on day 7. Very light beer. Crashed it on day 10. So in principle, I could have transferred it on day 24, but it must not have fallen on the right day of the week. But yeah, this is, just under a month to turn something like this over. Whereas the, something like the Maibach, I want to give a full 4 weeks of lagering. So that would be more like a 5-week beer.
Okay. What's the next beer that we're tasting here, Sean?
So this is our rotating American style IPA. Sorry, I didn't do that well enough.
All right.
This is a rotating American style IPA. We have to distinguish it from the Belgian IPA. So this is something that we almost always have on tap. Kind of along the lines of the kettle sour, we rotate the hops every time we brew it. So this is our, I don't know if I'd say our flagship IPA, but a version of this is the IPA that's almost always on tap. And just a very straightforward American IPA recipe. Mostly domestic 2-row, a little bit of Munich, and just a pinch of medium crystal. See, this is also 4% crystal. We actually, I like to use the Simpsons medium crystal malt, especially for sort of new school, to pair with sort of new school hops, because it has that more fruity character where I think a lot of the more American kilned crystal malts are just sort of generically sugary.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I feel like that plays a little bit better with fruity hops, or fruit for that matter. But yeah, just let's see. This particular batch is equal parts Citra and Idaho 7.
Mm-hmm.
Just an American hop bomb.
Yeah, definitely a new world beer.
In the hop samplers, we need to start doing those again. In the hop samplers, we liked both Citra and Idaho 7 quite a bit. As I remember, I need to go back and listen to those. Citra, obviously, for the citrus. Idaho 7, it seems like had a very fruity, melony character. I got a brand new pair of roller skates.
I wouldn't actually say citrus with Citra. I get a lot, and Citra I found is heavily dependent on crop year, and I'm sure on with crop yard. But I typically get more of like sort of the tropical fruity mango guava.
Well, this has been a couple of years ago that we probably tasted that that hop. Boy, it's between, for me, my favorites have been this one because it is nice and super fruity between the malt character and then those hops. This is one that I would drink all day. Yeah. The Maibach was really, really good. I mean, all beers were good.
Yeah.
The initial one, the Masher Luck beer, the Belgian,
I really liked that.
that was a really, really good. Mm-hmm. But this one, the Maibach and the Belgian IPA were my favorites, I think. All of them were good, but this beer is just a nice solid. It's very malty. It has a fairly substantial mouthfeel. It's got enough bitterness to carry you through, but there's some fruit character that's.
Excuse me.
It's got Steve blowing his nose in the background.
But I turned away from the microphone.
Try to hit the bucket.
Oh, can I throw this?
No, don't put that in there.
I was going to say. Trying to be good.
God. Now he's throwing stuff. That's behind the scenes.
Just a tantrum. Well, anyway, this is a good American pale ale.
Say it again, Sean.
It's going to be a heavily edited episode.
Yeah.
Depends on how tired I am at this point.
I think I'm allergic to my dog.
It's not. Poor buddy.
And this is another one that I poured straight off the tap. So I was curious about. Of course, I did it. A little over a week ago that I sent.
Really good.
And kept them cold, so I did what I could. But
yeah.
I was expecting there to be a little bit of oxidation in these tap-filled ones.
I don't really get any, but there may be some.
We did save it for last.
I think it's great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one to end on.
Yeah.
So, Sean, we're not going to do a Mash Your Luck, but you want us to do a random number challenge. And what's the goal of that? What are we doing?
I think we're doing Hop Your Luck.
Hop Your Luck.
Hop Your Luck.
With this IPA where we rotate the hops every time, let's let the random number generator decide the hops for the next batch.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
All right. So
dangerously.
So you've got a list of up to 40 different hops to choose from. So I've set the random. I can't. The wheel is too small to do it. So it's just going to be boring numerical. So the minimum is 1, the maximum is 40, and here we go. 31. The first hop is 31.
31 is Cashmere.
Cashmere. I think we tried that on the.
Yes, we did.
I don't remember what we thought of it.
I have never brewed with that. So
I have. I liked it. I remember that I liked the beer I made with it. That's what I remember about
Cashmere.
Cashmere.
When you drink it, you get little strands on your.
That's right.
on your tongue.
My allergies are going to go nuts.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so number 2, and all the way back to 6.
Equinaut.
Equinaut.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right, so Cashmere and Equinox.
Equinaut.
Oh.
Equinaut.
Equinaut.
Yeah. It's trademarked, so they had to change it.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. I have not brewed with those hops, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, so you'll have to let us know how that turns out.
All right, we'll check in 4 or 5 months.
Well, Sean, this has been exciting and fun, and even though Steve's catching a cold.
Oh God, no! It's I need a tissue. I'm allergic to my dog.
He's allergic to beer.
Something.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's shut this down so we can search the dregs and have those. And Sean, not surprisingly, you're brewing delicious beer up there at 2 Mile Brewing Company, America's highest brewery in Leadville, Colorado. And I look forward to the next excuse that we can make to get together.
Yeah, I only hope it's in person.
Oh, for sure. Many thanks to Sean and to Steve, of course. That'd be a very fun road trip. Lots of Colorado breweries on the way, too. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com, or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. So until next time, until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dotson. Basic Brewing Radio, is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.